In this movie, we're going to look at the railing extensions feature. We can take our railing objects and we can build in top rails and handrails, and these top rails and handrails can have automatically generated extensions. Those extensions will allow us to build in code requirements such as the distance of an extension that's required by the building code or adding a tread depth and so on to the extensions of our railings and have it take place automatically when we draw them. So I'm in a file here called Railing Extensions, and I'm going to zoom in down here at the bottom. And I've got two different railings here. And so to set us up, what I want to do is actually build two different railing styles so that we can do one that does returning back to the post of the railing, and we'll do another example with the other one that returns to the wall. I'm going to select this railing right here and go to Edit Type and duplicate it, and I'll call this one Handrail Pipe, and I'll just add the word post at the end. Click OK. Then I'm going to select this one, go to Edit Type, duplicate it, and I'll add the word wall at the end. Normally, that would be enough, and we could modify both of these railings, and each one would behave a little differently. But if you look at either one of these and edit the type, they both reference the same top rail object. So right here it says top rail and type, and it says circular 1.5 inch. And if I select this one and I go to edit type, it also says circular 1.5 inch. So what I want to do is I actually want to build a copy of that type that I can use two different sets of settings on. I'm going to do that on the project browser. So if we scroll down here, looking under families, we're going to expand that. And then under families, we're going to look for the railing category and expand that. And what you'll see here is a handrail type and a top rail type. For these two railings, that's the top rail that we're talking about. And here's the circular 1.5 inch type. I'm going to right click that and choose duplicate. That creates 1.5 inch 2. I'm going to right click that and choose rename. And I'm going to rename it post extension. That's the one that I'm going to use over here on this railing. Now, while I'm here, I'm going to scroll up a little bit and notice that the handrail type also has a type called circular 1.5 inch. This can be a little confusing because they both have the same name and you may get confused as to which one you're editing. I'm going to duplicate this one as well and right click the duplicate and rename it, and I'm going to call this wall extension. These may not be the best names, but they'll serve our purposes because it'll clarify which one we're working on. If I come over here and I select this railing, edit its type again, I can now change the top rail that's being used here to use the post extension. Notice that that's now available on the list. Let me clarify. Wall extension is not on the list because wall extension is not a top rail. It's a handrail. So if we added a handrail to this type, there's where wall extension would be. Once I've got that, I'm going to click OK. And it's an awful lot of setup, but nothing's actually happened yet. So now we're finally ready to actually turn on the extension, and it's actually fairly easy to do. Let me deselect the thing, hover over the top rail of this railing, press the Tab key, and notice that it will highlight that top rail. I'm going to click it to select it. Notice over here it says that's post extension, but it's grayed out. But I have access to the Edit Type button. So I'm going to click that, and now we can change the settings of the post extension. I want to choose what kind of extension style I want this to have. I can do a different one at the beginning or bottom and another one at the end or top. So here at the beginning or bottom, because we're at the bottom of the stair, I'm going to choose a post extension. I'm going to give it a distance. That's not enough. If I just click apply on that, nothing will happen because all I'm telling it is I want a post extension, but I haven't told it how far to extend. Maybe I want to extend by 1 foot. So I'm going to click apply, and you'll see it extend out 1 foot and then return back to the post. That's what they mean by a post extension. If I check this box, then it will project out even further because it will add a tread depth to the extension. So it's a tread depth plus 1 foot, and then finally it returns back. If you wanted to, you could even do a floor extension, and when I click apply, now it'll return down to the floor instead of back to the post. Now, I'm not going to show you the wall extension here. I'll show you that on the other railing. Choose whichever one you want here. I'll go ahead and set this back to post, click OK, and that completes that one. So now we want to do something similar over here, but we have one more bit of setup to do on this railing. I'm going to do the wall extension with a handrail instead of a top rail. So I need to edit this type. Now remember, we previously renamed it to handrail pipe wall. So I need to edit that type, and let's move this box over here. I'm going to make this slightly narrower so we can see. Down here for handrail 1, under the type, I'm going to choose the wall extension. Remember, that's the name we just gave it down on the project browser. And where do I want it positioned? This is important because if you just say wall extension, nothing happens because you've told it what type you want to use, but you haven't told it where to put it. If I open up this list here, we've got a few choices. It can be on the left, the right, or the center. I'm a firm believer in the 50-50 rule. I don't have any idea if it's left or right. I'm going to take a guess. Choose left. Click apply. I got a 50% chance of being correct. If I'm wrong, I know exactly what it should be now. I'll just change it to the other one. If you don't have 50-50 odds, I might be a little more scientific about it. Anyhow, we've got it on the left. It created it here on the inside. We're using wall extension. That's as much as we can do in the railing style. But now I click OK, deselect it, and again I have to tab in and select the handrail. Go to Edit Type. That's the wall extension I'm editing now. You can see it back there in the background. And now it's the same kind of settings that we did on the other one over here. This time, I will choose the wall option. Put in a number, click Apply. It extends out 1 foot and returns back to the wall. If I add a tread depth, just extends out a little bit longer and returns back to the wall. As you can see, the railing extension feature is a little complex, but once it's set up, it's a pretty powerful feature that allows us to build in the automatic parameters to control whatever our code requirements tell us we need for an extension at the bottom of our railings.